connection to develop, then I wasn't crossing any boundaries. But to speak to it, I mean, you had asked multiple times if there's an emotional connection, tell me. And I was like, it's not coming out, it's not happening, it's not happening. And I was trying to convince myself, but even watching it back, I mean, both of you are completely correct in that there was an emotional connection.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book, another one. Listen, Little Black Book, you know what time it is. Listen, let me be real with you, okay? There are villains on all sides, but today I'm going to break it down differently. Because when I say villains, there are different types of villains, right? We have villains that do destruction, and there are villains that self-sabotage, okay? The very first villains that we've got to talk about are the main ones that do the destruction. We have Sandy, we have JR, we have Nick, we have Scotty. Okay, these villains who did things that were destructive to other people. Okay, all right, they were destructive to other people. Okay, so those particular villains, okay, and I would even add Aria slightly into that bracket as well, because I had no clue as to why she was so invested in trying to get Caleb to admit that he had an emotional connection. But that's another story. The main destructive villains, again, I want to say one once more: JR, Nick, Scotty. Sandy's also in there as well, right? They are destructive villains because their behavior became destructive to other people, right? Now, of course, there are levels to this. I think the main one from the reunion when I was watching was JR. Overall, on the season, you can debate it whether it was Scotty or Nick. I personally think it was Nick. He was a drunkard. He was going to people's houses. He physically was actually entering people's spaces. So for me, Nick is top villain, right? But as the reunion went, JR gaslighting was absolutely crazy. And then obviously we have Scotty, who just can't be accountable, can't see anything else beyond his own issues, beyond other person's issues. And then Nick, who takes accountability, but actually when you really listen to him, he's not actually realizing the impact of his behavior on other people. Okay. And then Sandy, who used white fragility and white tears to get out of the smoke that she deserved to get, because she was lying as well. And in fact, I think her and JR are covering up the fact they had sex together, personally. Okay. And so, you know, that's also another thing within that space as well. I think then there are villains, which I call, you know, that are everyday villains, right? Which is the likes of yourselves who are watching, and myself as well, who watch things and can see that we've become our own villains in our own story. We've done things that are self-sabotaging, right? Caleb, Mariah, sorry. We can see Aria might be in that bracket a little bit as well, in that space as well, right? Zena, okay? And they're doing things that are not beneficial for themselves, and they're actually becoming their own worst villain, right? They're doing things that are making themselves their own worst villain. They're not helping their own story progress, right? They're becoming their own blocker to their own destiny. So we're going to break down this particular reunion episode 10 specifically. We're going to break it all the way down and get deeper with it as well for you guys, and hopefully be able to bring into alignment you know, some of your thoughts as well. So look forward to chatting with you guys for the next 30 to 45 minutes. Leave comments in the chat as well. We're going to discuss some of the behaviors we saw on this reunion, because I'm going to be honest with you, yeah, I weren't feeling it. Okay, all right, we're going to start real quick, real fast, and get at this. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notifications of the uploads. Let's start with the Aria, Caleb, and Mariah situation.
I should have been more transparent. I should have been forthcoming with that.
I get it. Like, none of us are perfect up here. None of us. I could tell, like, even on our dates during dating week, when, you know, you're out here being flirtatious and whatever, he was different. He was putting Mariah first.
Okay, so what was the biggest issue that we saw with Mariah, Caleb, and Aria as well, right? Is that the issue was that with obviously Caleb, he wasn't being all the way honest. This is the part I do have to hold him accountable for, but he held himself accountable, so I appreciate that. But he has to be accountable because he became a villain at this point. Not necessarily destructive, but in a sense of self-sabotaging his own relationship, right? Because I actually went back, and I'll do a separate video for them. I went back and I watched all the videos. Episode 5, he actually discusses that they are having an emotional connection, okay? In episode 5. Right, episode 4, they both discussed and said it was a friendship. But by episode 5, they have both discussed that actually now it was an emotional connection. The key question is, what does emotional connection mean to you? What does an emotional connection mean to her? And why is it Aria was so hell-bent on trying to prove to Maria that there was an emotional connection? I get it. I get it. Aria was probably thinking they're going to watch this back and they're going to see something. But I went back and I watched and I said, y'all, if I'm honest with you, in the context of a show, now, had y'all been really single, like, I mean, had you all really been in a relationship and you were outside? Yeah, I'd have said some of your behaviors are a little bit. But in the context of the show, the most raunchiest moment we saw actually was them holding hands, putting some cucumbers on each other's eyes. Okay, all right, that was as raunchy as it got. Can I be honest with you? So when I went back, I said, what was it that Aria was so hell-bent on trying to prove to Mariah that there was this emotional connection? Now, there was an emotional connection because actually, like I said, he admitted it. Episode 5, she did it as well. She said she's getting deeper. So there is an aspect of that. But what specifically that had Aria with her back against the wall so heavy? And I think this is really important because I think it really again showed once more that I think with Aria there is this incessant need to feel wanted, to feel desired, to feel loved, feel cared for, and she didn't get that with Scotty, right? And actually with Caleb, she found herself being more open and more available, and because of that openness and availability, that means for her, okay, all right, that means for her that there must have been the equivalent on the other side. Now, I do believe that Caleb really liked her. Let's be really honest. Now, let's be really. I really believe that that Caleb liked her, but I think in the back of his mind, he just wasn't trying to go there. And I think this is what we call dealing with temptation, right? Where you can get in spaces. And I think what Caleb showed us is exactly how I'd want someone to handle things. Now, of course, you're never going to be in a situation where for 3 weeks you are locked up with somebody else. I mean, I hope not. You know, you shouldn't. I hope you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be 3 weeks away from your partner and 3 weeks with somebody else that you think is attractive. Okay. Now, we know they both are finding each other attractive, right? He said that already. But my biggest issue, the issue is how he dealt with the temptation. For him, yes, he put some cucumbers on her eyes. Yes, he discussed past relationships and past and future, and present family situations. Yes, they held hands when he was trying to help her with her physical touch. Yes, they ate marshmallows together. Yes, they lied in a bed at one point, right? I don't know if they slept in the same bed, but they lied in the bed at one point. But what really was there? What really was there that she decided she had to push this agenda through to the point we saw her in episode 5 actually go and speak to Mariah and tell her that she's toxic and tell Mariah that, you know, there's a deeper emotional connection. What is it that Aria really wanted? And I think she wanted to be desired. But what was also Caleb afraid of? Because Caleb was actually afraid of something. What was he afraid of? Well, Caleb was afraid that you telling an emotional connection to Mariah would probably break her and break his relationship. Because for him, again, once more, he was always going back. And so to report that there was an emotional connection, yeah, it's too much. I can say it to you, Aria, but I'm not going to tell my girl there was an emotional connection. So much so that a whole year goes past and now Mariah's watching it back and she's like, wait, hold on, you guys had an emotional connection. Now, can I be really honest? What did she see? Okay. What did she see? You know what I mean? Because I watched the episodes back and I was like, there was nothing. Like, there was barely any in the context of the show. What was there? You know what I'm saying to you? I'm really looking at the show and going, what did Mariah see that was so deep for her? What was deep for her was actually what Aria was saying. And I can't wait. I'm going to do a specific breakdown for you guys tomorrow where I do a video on this. The specific actual issue isn't even Caleb. The biggest issue is that Caleb did lie. And he didn't tell the full truth, and he didn't, you know, go all the way telling the full capacity of actually what happened. Let's be honest, he didn't tell the truth, so he lied. Okay, but the other aspect is because Aria actually kept on coming and telling her in episode 5 specifically that how much she really likes her man and how emotionally connected she is to her man, how open she is to her man. Okay, so he for himself was afraid. Yes, he's afraid of, you know what, this information gets back, I'm gonna have to explain all of this, and really and truly, I'm not even trying to go there with Aria. I might find her attractive, and I'm a man. I have balls. Okay, I'm gonna feel something. That's never not going to happen. I'm going to feel something. I'm going to feel some type of energy, you know, in that way. So that's not going to go anywhere. I'm not expecting it to. Right? And you may be tempted, but the Bible tells us we will be tempted. What are you going to do? in that space of temptation, there's a way out. And I feel like Caleb took the way out. Now, this is not me bigging him up and making him bigger than anybody else. No, he lied. And so therefore he is a villain, right? Because he lied. He should have never lied, right? But there was such a huge push for her to try and get him to be admitting it. And I felt it was almost kind of, I didn't really like it either. Because it's like, let them enjoy their relationship, man. Do you know what I mean? Let them be their cute selves.
I realized I made a mistake. Like,
of how much this man loves you. And that's just
Let
my
me go back. Sorry, taking out you.
I was like, it's not coming out, it's not happening, it's not happening. And I was trying to convince myself, but even watching it back, I mean, both of you are completely correct in that. There was an emotional connection. I should have been more transparent. I should have been forthcoming with that.
I get it. Like, we're not.
So as he heard, he admits obviously he should have been, more forthcoming about some of the issues, right? And let me take my headphone out because it's going to annoy me. He should have been more forthcoming about the issues in that space. And, I totally understand. So there definitely was some level of connection for him. Absolutely. He's just scared of breaking up his relationship. And because again, the way that he looks at emotions, the way he looks at emotions, I think he struggles with that, with actually being honest about what emotions he actually feels. I don't know if he's able to even label what emotions he actually feels. But he definitely has a level of attraction, which must be taken away from emotional connection. Having a level of attraction for somebody doesn't equally equate emotional connection. But at least for our good sis Aria here, she was feeling some level of emotional connection towards him. And actually it deepened. She said she wasn't even feeling Caleb like that in the beginning. And then she grew in that space. And so for her, she had a development and wanted to even tell Mariah that too. And so for himself, he said, this information, I don't need it getting back to Mariah. We don't need to discuss it. It's going to be long. And maybe because he doesn't have the language to be able to really discuss this. But again, that puts you in a villain category because your inability to explain it, your inability to say it, your inability to tell the truth in that moment now has come back to bite you in the ass. Okay, all right, has now come to bite you in the ass because now you got Aria saying something that's confirming the very fears that your girl had. You know what I'm saying to you? I didn't like the fact that obviously it got played out the way it did on the reunion, but at the end of the day, if you're being honest at the very beginning, because there was an emotional connection from himself, however he describes it, there was an emotional connection. In episode 5, he mentions an emotional connection. He actually says the words emotional connection. You know what I'm saying to you? And I do agree that I do feel like Aria was putting 2 on 10. I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like Aria's putting 2 on 10. Like they're happy and together and they're gonna get married. And it's like it's almost felt like she was almost saying like this man's a whole cheater. And you know what I mean? Like this is not a JR situation. You know, it's not a JR situation. And so yeah, I did feel like she put a little bit 2 on 10 on that situation. But again, Caleb still has to take accountability for the fact that he had the opportunity to tell the truth and he did not tell the truth.
None of us are perfect up here. None of us. I could tell, like, even on our dates during dating week, when, you're out here being flirtatious and whatever, he was different. He was putting Mariah first.
So my issue is, if he was putting Mariah first, what is the issue? Why do we have to force him to admit they had an emotional connection? What is it for Maria that she had to, what is it for Aria that she had to push through that thought process to Mariah? Because as she said, he was putting Mariah first. He's on the phone for 2 hours talking to her every day. While I was doing this thing with you, I watched it back. I said most of the time he keeps a very good physical distance. That's crazy work. That's why I put Aria in the villain category, because it felt like you were doing too much in this situation. Why are you trying to force this narrative between the two of them? Why? Why must it be that case? But actually, I'll do another video for them separately. But that's one of my thoughts on them as well. Like I said, I want to keep this nice and short, not too long, so we can really address some of these key issues. Okay. Obviously, Arya and Scotty, let's discuss them because boy, oh boy.
I didn't want to.
So to be clear, you called off the engagement the day after the proposal, but then you all continued to still see each other.
To see each other and work through our things. Maybe you.
All right. So Arya and Scotty, let me be real with you. Okay. Scotty is a major red flag flying in the motherfucking wind. Okay, little black book, you know what time it is. Okay, look, major red flag. Okay, because he has no self-awareness at this point, right? And I'll tell you why. Because when you're discussing after a year some of the issues that you had in a relationship, you should be able to discuss where you went wrong. Now, when I listen to people, I listen to see if they've really grown and whether they've really understood things. And when they grow and they understand things, they will let you know, because what they end up doing is they speak from a place of saying, you know what, I learned this, I learned that, I understood this, I understood that. And actually, I realize now, looking back at the show, the areas that could have gone wrong. But we are still in the place where Scotty is still trying to put the blame solely on Aria, as if she's the reason why the relationship isn't working right now. That for me is a major red flag. And it tells me you're unable to really see yourself. Now, at least with Aria, I want to be fair to her. During the season, she was able to point out things that she knew she wasn't doing, which means for me, she's a way better partner. And I mean, way. Because somebody who can admit where they are going wrong, somebody who can admit and say, you know what, I'm not getting this right, somebody who can admit and say, you know what, I could have done this better, for me is somebody that's going to grow and somebody that you can grow with in a relationship. Scotty is telling me that he's stuck where he is and he's not going to move. And that for me is problematic, because now we are stagnant. And you see, stagnant water begins to stink. And you stink right now, sir. Right? You stink.
You can talk a little bit if you want to, but I don't feel like it was bad in the beginning. We were actually moving towards something that I wanted and I thought he wanted, but
I was interested
we started
in
to go back into our old ways, and he agreed, and he was like, yeah.
So, as Aria said, it was going the right way, right? It was going the right way, and then boom, they go back into the same ways. And here's why things go back into the same ways. Okay. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, she was admitting those things. Okay. All right. Absolutely. Now, I think there's a little bit of problems on both sides. If you listen to the language, very specifically what she just said here, I'm going to be a little bit picky. And the reason why I'm going to be a little bit picky is because I don't want to balance it. I want to let you know that relationships take two people. Okay. So I do understand where he's coming from, but I'm going to put the weight on Scotty, just like I did in my other review. If you really listen to the language, listen to what was being said. Right? Okay.
We were actually moving towards something that I wanted and I thought he wanted, but we started to go back into our old ways, and he agreed, and he was like, yeah, we're going to do.
So I'm a big component of we. Whenever I hear I, a lot of times in what I wanted, it tends to be one-sided. And I'm not saying she's selfish, not at all. What it tends to be is one-sided. And Scotty does the exact same thing, by the way. So this is not only on her. It's just something that I noticed that she said, right? But the whole point is that with Scotty's situation, right? When I listened to the way he spoke about the situation, I was like, he was a terrorist there. Because the reason why I say he was a terrorist, and I mean that in the most bad way, but not the worst way, right? But he was a terrorist, let's be honest. And the reason why I say that is because if you listen to the narration of what he said, he learned nothing.
Do couples therapy. I do not want to feel like I'm nagging you all the time. And I felt like I was nagging him for a whole year. And I don't know if you thought I was bluffing, but I give him an ultimatum. I said, if we don't do therapy, I'm done. And he thought, I don't know if he thought I was joking, but I wasn't joking. And
so in the space of this conversation, obviously she's letting him know that there are certain things that were happening. It got to a year. She's obviously given an ultimatum. It's therapy or nothing, right? And we wait a whole year before we get to a point, right? We are not going to hear anything Scott is going to say that's going to say about anything he's going to be accountable for. In fact, he's going to say there are mitigating circumstances as to why. Right? And you're right, Jay. You're coming to that right point. Okay. All right. So she all the time in that space, he all that time in that space won't tell the where he's going wrong. Let's listen again.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hurt you anymore, but you don't love me the way I want to be loved.
Scotty, how is this from your perspective?
I feel like when I got down on one knee and
okay, so the only part that we get to hear really about Scotty taking any accountability is him saying, when I got down on one knee, you know, I feel like I made a mistake because actually I knew that she wasn't really fully invested in the show. Okay, but why was she hesitant? Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because what you want is you want the marriage. So what are the things that she says she needs, and how are you working on those things? Right? And because you wanted a marriage, okay, you wanted a marriage. So in that space, I'm looking at going, okay, Scotty, so she wants this, so you want it, you want marriage, and she wants this from you to get to that space. Then do what she wants, because you want the same thing, but you're going to need to do what she needs her to do, which is change certain things. You want her to change certain things, she's going to change those things. She started working on it. We saw it on the show. Okay, all right, he did it on the show, but we're not seeing that from Scotty.
Proposed to Aria, I made a mistake, but the mistake wasn't proposing to her. I think it was telling her all of that in that moment and knowing that there's a slight chance like that she could make an emotional decision. I just wanted to show her, after how excruciating the experience was, that I'm always going to love her.
Now, the only part he's taking accountability for is actually, look, listen to what he's actually saying. It's about him proposing and saying that almost like he's like, I knew she was going to make an emotional decision, and you know, I should take accountability for the fact that I know she was going to make an emotional decision. But that is not the reason why she's not marrying you. Now, she took it back, yeah, but you guys had to move in and start doing playing house. What about the decision? What were the things in between that were being done that were affecting your relationship, Scotty? This aspect of the proposal ain't that important, if I'm honest with you. Ain't that important? Let me go back.
A year later, you want to do it. Literally, we had a whole year. So I just feel like you're giving off a lot of excuses, and you're not taking accountability, which is the thing that I feel like is the hardest thing for you to take. And just say, I'm sorry for taking so long. But I always have to ask you. I always have to ask you to say sorry to me. I have to ask and ask, and I'm tired of it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry for not doing that sooner. I feel like there's so much content.
Look, you see how he got to this? Look, you know what? Okay, I'm sorry for not doing it sooner. He ain't sorry, and that's the problem. Scotty ain't sorry, because Scotty thinks that the reason why he is not married right now is because of Aria, and does not realize a relationship takes two to tango. When you are the insecurity is screaming so loud where you can only focus on somebody else as the issue. Okay, right? And so he needs to be able to see that in that space, my friend, okay, all right, that you should have easily seen taking accountability. How hard is it to see that we need to go therapy? She said the ultimatum was go to therapy or we ain't doing this no more. How hard is it to understand? I'm so sorry. Okay, wait, hold on a minute. Did you not issue her an ultimatum so you know what one looks like? Like that's my ludicrosity of the situation. The audacity is where I'm actually looking at, like Scotty, like, bro, you're missing the hugest point here. And you will be single or you'll be miserable marrying somebody who don't really love you, because you are not going to show the true love that's needed to keep a safe space for that person.
Text missing. Like, there was so many things that happened in our relationship from the time that...
Are you going to tell them, or are you just going to say there's so many things?
I don't think it's my place to tell.
She's like my best friend. So that was really hard. And I ended up having a miscarriage.
Can I say something, Aria? Thank you for opening up on something extremely vulnerable.
And to think that I just gave up. Like, the way I feel like you depict me is like, I just gave up on you. I didn't just give up. I got tired.
I just feel like I tried so hard. Like,
and now we go. That's Scotty again. You know, that's Scotty again. You know. Okay, that's Scotty again, and that's the problem we have. Scotty is failing to see where he has made some mistakes, and once again he's going to talk about the mitigating circumstances as to why he could not do the job he needed to do, and that's the problem we have. It's not even like he's even putting it on her. It's the fact that he's just not putting it on himself. Right at this point, he's not even pushing it onto her. At this point, he's just not even seeing that it's not about mitigating circumstances. Now, look, like I said, I've been in situations like this, right, where you're failing to. The only thing you're seeing is the pain inflicted to you, right? I've been in a situation like that where you're just seeing it from your perspective, right? And so I've been in some circumstances like that, so I can understand. Sometimes you can be locked in a place where you're not seeing it for anything else but they've done something to me. rather than looking at, okay, so what are the reasons why I'm here? Why am I in this relationship? Why am I dealing with this particular person? This doesn't make Aria a complete innocent villain, right? This is an innocent person in the situation. It's not that at all, right? But I am looking at it from a perspective, I'm looking at a perspective from that point. I'm going, what did you contribute? And how do you, and actually a lot of people suffer with that. That's why they're in therapy. That's why they're in coaching, right? A lot of people suffer with why they are where they are. You're just seeing it on TV. A lot of people struggle. Just me telling you after coaching a lot of people struggle, right? But they're not destructive the way that Scotty has been with some of his behaviors, right? So that's the biggest difference is the destruction that it can create. In this situation, you know what I mean? So people struggle to really take into account what steps take you to the top of the tower. Some people struggle, but I'm going to focus on Scotty here. Scotty needs to open his eyes, okay, all right, and look at the situation from what am I adding to it? Because up until this point, the only thing I've heard him admit, and it wasn't even to Aria, where he admitted was actually more of a case of when he admitted it to Zena about not knowing how to develop resolutions.
Everything that Aria wanted me to do, I did. I moved back to San Francisco, even though I didn't want to. I got us an apartment.
You did try. You did. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not discrediting you on that.
You both have a lot of love for each other, and that is, you could see.
So as you heard him say there, right? He's saying, obviously, I did everything you wanted me to do, and I do. This is why I said I do believe that he wants to do the best, right? He needs the tools, but he should have gone to therapy, okay? And that's the problem he should have had, right? He didn't have the tools, and that's why he should have gone therapy, right? Because he admits, okay, I moved where she was, I got the apartment like she wanted. I did the things she wanted. Yes, you did. But that was not the end of the things that she wanted. What she needed was the emotional connection side. Hence why Caleb and Aria had the emotional connection, because both their partners struggle with that. Also, Aria and Caleb too struggle with emotional connection. Right? So the reality of the situation is, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, maybe in a separate video for them, is that there is an aspect also too that I can understand. Like I said, I said this with Jay's one, is that that there's an issue with obviously the I get the fact that obviously when she originally made a decision to marry him, and she said it was an emotional decision, and I was like, wait, hold on, an emotional decision? Aria doesn't do emotions like that, so why is Aria making an emotional decision? And then I remember the outburst at the very first episode where she was breaking down, and actually we've seen her quite a few times breaking down, crying, and I said, okay, maybe there's like two sides to Aria that we get. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that she's a bad person. Again, it's just something I'm just noticing. I'm like, hold on a minute now. You know, she doesn't really do emotions, but we do see a lot of times where she can be very heavily emotional and crying about the situation. And okay, cool. There might be another side we need to see of Aria. There might be more information we need to gather from Aria. More understanding we have to gather from Aria as well, right? From that perspective. But my main thing is that Scotty is the main villain in this situation because he refuses to be able to actually see that he is a problem in this relationship and he has contributed towards the downfall. It could have worked. It's been a year and you still haven't grown. Okay, still haven't grown. So that for me is a major one for me on that side. Okay, let's talk quickly about Zena and obviously JR.
Birthday. I know I did that whole like, ooh, happy early birthday in case we're not together. Like, you got a massage at the Ritz-Carlton and a steak dinner, okay, for your birthday. After that, we spent Thanksgiving together. We literally went to Soho House for Thanksgiving together.
Zena, you were asking for all that. And I said we need time apart to really process.
Can I finish?
Things.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, finish.
Okay, so I'm going to be real with you. Okay, now listen, can we be honest with you? JR is the biggest villain in this situation because he's got destructive behaviors like lying. I don't think lying is a good thing. Okay, destructive behaviors like lying. Okay, And so there's lies from JR, gaslighting that JR does, which I saw on this episode specifically as well. Okay. Now I knew that man didn't want to marry her from episode when they changed partners, because if you watch his face, he was never really, you can tell by his face, he's not really there. Okay. So we knew that. But here's what I'm gonna say. Okay. All right. Here's what I'm gonna say is that Zena, okay, all right, as she said, was Delulu. And so since you Delulu, sis, you're gonna have to take accountability. Okay. All right. Zena gonna have to get some accountability because you were Delulu. And this is why I said that a lot of these couples need to take accountability for why they're in the situation they're in. Like, why are you in this relationship? Why are you still there? Right. And so Zena obviously told us that she's deluded, and I appreciate that as well. But you saw this, but you saw some signs, right? Like him doing the stupidity 24 hours before you guys come on the show. Okay. And obviously, you know, as like they said, they felt like he checked out 6 months before that. Okay, cool. So why are we coming on the show? Right. So you know, and listen, I'm not gonna put JR's business on her. She actually is not the villain in this situation. JR is, right? And I'm going to talk about his lying behavior. But Zena was now, you see, what happens is sometimes what happens is we look at somebody going, okay, for instance, it's a Ramses and Marissa situation, right? If you're talking about moral code, there are two different things from the reality of what actually happens in real life. Okay. Now, here's the thing: moral code shouldn't do it. And then when it fires back on you too, you also can't complain. So therefore, in that space, JR can't complain about Zena's reaction. He can't try to gaslight her, and he can't try to be like, oh, I don't know why you're giving me this energy. No, you know why. You know why. Stop lying. Okay, let's not go down that road. Okay, so that perspective for me, I'm going to talk about that JR needs to take accountability for, because you need to stop lying about, I don't know why we're here. Or, I don't know why she's coming at me like that. No, you know why she's coming at you like that, bro, because you were implicit in the stupidity and the downfall. Okay, now Zena's biggest issue is this. Okay, sis. Okay, let me just be real with you. It's one of the things that you were talking about. Number one, you did too much. Okay, if this man is telling you he doesn't want you, right, and then he shows you behaviors that he doesn't want you, but then accepts things for you, my friend, let it go. Okay. All right, let it go. If he's telling you that he can't do what you need him to do, let it go. What did Pharaoh say? Let my people go. That's what he said in that tone and in that voice of Moses. Moses said that to Pharaoh. Right? So, jokes aside, right? Let yourself go, right? But you didn't want to let yourself go because you were still fighting, because you wanted the hope that something would be there. That's why you're a villain in your own story. Not a villain towards him, but you're a villain in your own story where you betrayed yourself. Okay. So where you need to come into the story is like, you know what? I know he did what he did, but here's what I did. Which is why I said that. And there's a lot of people who want to blame other people, right? They want to blame other people for situations like, okay, you know what? Let's say for instance, right? I'm talking to a girl. Yeah. Let's say I'm talking to a girl. And she's like, I don't really like you like that. Yeah. So I end up buying her gifts. Yeah. And after that, she's like, listen, I don't like you like that, coach. But if you want to keep buying gifts, I'm accept it. So I keep buying gifts, thinking it's going to change her mind. Okay. Now, whose fault is it? I've told her I like her. She knows I like her, but I'm buying her gifts and she told me she doesn't like me. Whose fault is it? Just type in the chat for me. Whose fault is it? If I keep buying gifts, she is accepting the gifts, and then I complain saying, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean there's nothing happening? She's like, well, I told you I didn't like you. Who's to blame? Yeah. You know why? Because I should have been dumb. Now, does she have some level of responsibility? Absolutely. Right? Accepting a gift when you don't like me, you shouldn't do it. But the overall weight is on me. Okay? The overall weight is on me because I was listening to the instruction and ignoring the instructions. I was deciding that I want to do this. So in that same way that Zena has to take accountability, because even though you were hearing him tell you he don't want you, you were still going after him. It's the same thing with the Marissa and Ramsey situation, you know, and we, I got smoked for that. You know, oh my God, like he a manipulator, da, da, da. And I was like, well, if you're gonna keep offering the box, I'm gonna keep taking the box. Yeah. Now, if you're talking about a moral compass, that's a different story, right? Different story. Yeah, if you're talking about a moral compass, it's completely different. But just like I put in that story, when I put myself there and said, as a man, if you telling me that you don't like me, but I'm gonna keep buying you gifts. I'm gonna keep taking you out to dinners. I'm gonna keep, treating you to certain, access, giving you certain access to certain things. It's not on you. It's on me. I'm the mamu. Okay, let's drop the Bushido right there. Drop the Bushido right there. Okay, all right. So, Zay was doing too much. She was going on. She was still encapsulated by that man.
We were in this like gray area, and then I asked, I'm like, what are we doing? Are we single? Are we together? How would you describe it? And he was just like, you know what? I need time to process what happened on the show.
And you know what the answer is? When you asked him a direct question and said, what are we? And he said, I need time to process my answer. What have I told you, ladies and gentlemen? If you follow me long enough, you know what I said to you. If it's not a yes, it's a what, ladies and gentlemen? Type in the chat for me. Those of you who've been with me long enough to know when I told you this answer. If it's not a yes, it is a what? Type it in the chat. She just answered her own question, right? When you asked him, if you don't know what you are, and he didn't be able to, he said, oh, I got to process what I got to process, then it's a no. It's a no. It's a no. Okay. All right. And at that point, you need to take it as a no, but you're not taking it as a no because you don't believe you deserve better. And that's on you. We can't put it on JR. Now, JR's a villain. Oh, he's a gaslighter. No. We need to work JR. JR's a gaslighter.
I don't think I could be in a relationship right now. So naturally, I was really confused. And for clarity, that is not being controlling. That is asking for clarity.
What did I say?
And you kept trying to say, why are you controlling?
Because you said we should not be talking to other people. During this, I want to make this clear.
No.
We're not talking to other people. And I said, this is very manipulative, Zena.
No, it's not. Because at the very beginning of the year, I asked
didn't say that was pushing me further away.
So I don't know. This little area here was a bit weird. Okay? This area here was a bit weird. I'll tell you why. Because, okay, she's saying, obviously, what are we doing? He's saying, listen, hey, it sounds like he's saying I'm going to talk to people. She's like, we can't talk to people in this period. It's confusing. And when it's confusing, you need to get out. If not, you must take accountability for what happens next. As you who wants the relationship and the person doesn't want it, the responsibility is on you because you want it. The same thing I said about Scotty. Scotty wanted the relationship with Aria. It's on him responsibly and accountability to do the things that she wanted. Same here. Zena, you wanted a relationship. He did not. So it's on you to be accountable in this moment. Okay, now he's telling you gray stuff. Don't make it gray. Make it black and white, straight. Make it black and white. And the moment he doesn't want to make it black and white, you're like, whoa, I got to leave. It ain't for me. You're not clear. This is why we're in the stupidity now. Now we're saying about is it manipulative, and I think that was him trying to gaslight a little bit.
Because you're trying to manipulate the situation.
At the top of the year, and you said no. Then when you followed up with, I think we should take this break seriously.
I have text proof.
Oh, whatever. I do too.
I have the books that you wrote to me.
I'm literally asking for clarity.
For coming off that way.
I know, because you always take everything that I had to say and spin it in the whole JR lies, pool of lies.
It's not a lie.
I was left distraught.
So I'm confused because she just said no. I just pointed out she actually said no. I asked a question at the top of the year and you said no. Oh, so you got an answer. Babe, you got no one else to blame. You got no one else to blame. And that's why I said Zena is a villain in her own story, because there is nobody else to blame. You only got you to blame. Okay, all right? You at the top of the year, you asked and he said no.
No. Then when you followed up with, I think we should take this break seriously.
I have text proof.
Oh.
So we then we followed up with, we should take this breakup seriously, sis. You so a no, and then let's take this breakup seriously. You only got you to blame. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Because it sounds like you knew he weren't lying to you. It sounds like you knew he weren't lying to you, and that is manipulative. Because if you know that I wasn't telling you yes, and you know I wasn't telling you yes, and I've been saying I've been trying to dodge the question, and you trying to put it onto me, don't put it onto me. You. We all knew what we're doing. We're playing in the gray area, right? Now he has to be accountable because he knows that she wants him more. So in that space, when you end up having sex with her, you're gonna be accountable. Yeah. That's the part where he's accountable. If you know that what you're getting back in your way, you're not going to be accountable for the fact that she ends up sleeping. She ends up sleeping with you and doing what you're doing. That's on her. But now, when she gets emotional and get in your face, you're going to have to be accountable for the fact that she reacted in that way, because inevitably you shouldn't have been there because you knew you didn't want it. You knew that you knew that in that space, this could get to that point. You know what I mean?
Whatever, I do too.
I have the books that you wrote to me.
I'm literally asking for clarity.
For coming off that way.
I know, because you always take everything that I had to say and spin it in the whole JR lies, pool of lies.
It's not a lie.
I was left distraught. Like, I was so confused. I just wanted some answers. And then for my birthday, he asked me if I would be open to dinner. Canceled the night of and never rescheduled. Damn.
Now, JR, that was political. That was bad, JR. Did you explain? I mean, he explained. He said he was sick, but why didn't you reschedule? Because why did you ask her to go to dinner on her birthday? Now, JR, that's game playing. Okay, that is game playing. Okay, he gonna have to be accountable for that. If you knew you asked her to dinner on her birthday, an important day for somebody, and then you cancel, you might have been sick, but you don't reschedule, and then you don't, you know what I mean, without an explanation following after saying, look, you know what, maybe it's not meant to be right now, or maybe it's not the right time, or whatever. There has to be an explanation after. Without that, it just seems very cruel.
Okay, because I was sick.
With that whole birthday thing, I was just like, you know what? I need to start prioritizing and choosing myself. And I was so intentional about healing, where I wanted to heal to the point where if my future husband, a real man.
Now, she gonna talk about this real man situation. Sis, you part of this mess. Okay, all right. So this is on both of us, you know, that's on both of us. But I hear what you're saying, sis. You did the healing work, you're outgrown him, you see better, and I think that's the right thing to do, because he ain't gonna grow up for nothing. You were never the one that he wanted.
Did not respect the fact that he refused to give closure to a 3-year relationship. If you truly did love me, and I question that to this very day.
Well, Jay, let me ask you, after you left the
now, there could be a manipulative reason. I'm gonna be honest with you. There could be a manipulative reason, okay, as to why he didn't actually give her a closure, knowing that she might have felt some type of way. Maybe didn't want to give her closure because he can come back later on. Yeah, I have to be honest with it. There can be some dark arts where you don't want to explain, because you know that you're gonna come back to it later on, right? That can be an issue too, right? But it also could be a thing as well. You know, listen, sis, it don't matter if you give closure or not. If you don't want to give you closure, move on. Move on. You know what I mean? But again, why didn't he want to give the closure? He said he hasn't processed it. And I'm like, what do you need? In a whole year, you ain't processed it? What do you need to process, JR? What else do you need to process, JR? Are you trying to hold on to this woman? Are you trying to keep her? What else you need to process?
Experience. In your mind, were you guys...
That was it. I took the experience for what it was, and I told her after that decision, we are really broken up. And she did not want to take that at face value. So listen, I have a lot of love for Zena. I don't know where all this hostility is coming from.
Now that part is mad, because he knows where the hostility is coming from. Now he should be. Now he's truthful in saying, "Listen, we broke up, and I told her what it is," because she admitted it. Okay, so that one is not a lie. But you don't pretend as if you didn't. Like, that part is gaslighting. It's like, you know why she's hostile. She wanted you. She didn't get you. You know why she's hostile. Now, if you said, "Listen, you can't be angry because I was honest and truthful with you," that's completely different. He's like, "I don't know why you're angry." Now that's gaslighting, because you do. Okay, all right, because you do. You know,
I've helped her whenever she called on me. There's no time where I shut her out and was like, "I don't want to talk to you." I just said, "Zena, I need time to process things." So I haven't given her closure because I'm still processing things.
To this day, are you still processing?
We never put a timeline on closure. I've been working on myself. I've been on a journey of self. and she's asked me for where are we? Where are this? I'm like, I'm not at a place right now where I can speak on our relationship.
So we've got two different things here. He's saying closure is her asking about where are we and what are we. That's not closure. Closure is I thought you were gonna end this thing and you know where you're going and look what happened in the relationship, a quick summary, you know, you feel better this, I'm doing this. I thought that was why is closure now asking about where we stand? At this point, when you don't say yes, it's a no. You don't say yes, it's a no. I mean, that's closure enough for me. You know what I'm saying? You would if you could. You would if you could. You would if you could.
Still need time. Even to today, yes. I'm still processing things. That was a lot that we went through.
How is it seeing her here today? What's that bring up for you?
Yeah, I 100% believe that. Even before watching back everything, which solidified my thoughts about you.
Okay, so I wanna get the Sandy situation as well, because I think that was obviously very intriguing as well, because you know there's a whole lot of madness that was happening on those seasons as well.
Nick. Honestly, Nick, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
What? I am so emotionally removed from it that I would not care. It would just add to the list of reasons as to why I am over that relationship with JR, and I'm glad
Nick is literally waiting to pounce. That brother is ready to pounce. But look, let me tell you this now. Okay, all right. Look, Nick and Sandy situation. First and foremost, Sandy's a whole bunch of liars, just like JR is. Okay, JR and Sandy are both liars. Okay, they lied to their partners about what they actually did. They both said the number 2 that they kissed 2 times. Well, yet the camera has actually caught them 4 times. I put it in my phone, and I'll do a separate video for them. They lied. Okay, so straight up, both JR and Sandy are liars. Okay, all right. And so what ends up happening in the space is that because they're lying, we can't trust that they didn't have sex. Okay, and they were probably the most comfortable couple. And the way that JR was so drawn to her is giving he was digging deep. It's giving he was digging deep. So I think I look at that situation, okay, all right, with JR and Sandy, and I go, yeah, y'all are doing a lot. I can't do y'all were doing a lot. Within that also, I think what's interesting about it is that you know, Sandy wasn't really being held to account like that she needed to, because we got JR and he needed to, because he was an absolute gaslighter and a villain, and he's a liar because he knows damn well right that he, you know, was moving mad on that thing, and they caught him talking about obviously you know, a hall pass after he said he didn't say that when he did. Okay, so JR can't keep up with his own lies. Okay, all right, he a liar. Okay, he a liar, straight up.
I'm no longer in it.
Okay, Zena.
I think that, and I'm just to clarify that the thought was there, and now watching it back, the passion between the two of you. If I wasn't there and Zena wasn't there, and you guys, like, naturally, that's where it would have progressed. It's not as if you guys were just like, you know, it was hot and heavy.
Yeah, listen, what Sandy ain't gonna do is the same thing that JR doing. They're both gaslighting. Okay, all right. They are both gaslighters at this point in time. Okay, when Sandy came back, she was gaslighting the man like there was nobody's business. Okay, all right. Okay, so you know, both JR and Sandy deserve each other. Okay, they are 2 sides of a coin. Okay, both Sandy and JR are 2 sides of a coin. So I'm not surprised that both of them are holding strong to lying about the situation and not being real about what actually happened. I'm not surprised. Not at all. Not in the slightest. But you know, Nick and Sandy, let me talk about them really, really quickly because my hour's almost up and I want to keep it to an hour.
And unseen in my relationship with Nick, and like a lot of really heavy conversations and arguments, and then coming in here, it was kind of just like, okay, let's just have some fun, and you know, let's see what else is here.
Did you discuss this at the beginning about having fun? Did you and JR as well, did he discuss this about having fun? Right, because as much as you guys were broken up, what were the rules? Because it was an ultimatum, but what was the rules that you guys discussed with each other? Because this word we were discussing, and we were having fun. What is this having fun?
And I think that's why it comes off as just like a bit unserious. And we did have a connection. I'm not denying that. Physical touch is both of our love languages, and I think it wasn't. I don't know about Zena, but I know it wasn't for Nick. So that was something in my relationship that it was a challenge.
No, it was the same thing with Zena. he said the exact same thing in episode 2. He said that Zena isn't very touchy-feely. Okay, so that in that space, what we got from JR is that he also felt some way about the physical touch thing with Zena. Okay, so they both had physical touch issues. Now, look, let's be real. Okay, let's be real. It didn't come off unserious. It came off serious. That's the point. It didn't come off unserious. It came off like you guys were serious about what you're doing. It came off as like you guys were actually trying to do stuff.
And so I think that was something that him and I, we felt comfortable giving each other that reassurance, shoulder rub, you know, hand, whatever. But it was a physical, fun, flirty dynamic. And yes, we did kiss, but nothing transpired past a kiss. But
she sounds well trained. I can't lie to you. And she sounds well gathered up. Girl is not giving us an inch. But since you lied about the kisses as well as JR, I can't trust y'all. Okay, since you lied about that, I can't trust both of you. Both of you will be happily concocting that story and denying it. And you know how we know? Because we've all been in that situation before. We've all been in. Okay, I can't say all of us. Some of us not that way. A lot of us have been in that situation where we've done that. We and the other person have both contributed and said, "We're not telling anybody we did a thing." You think I'm not taking? You think I'm not taking something to the grave? Yeah. You think I'm not taking it to the grave? Oh, there's some things I'm taking to the grave, and y'all know in the chat that y'all are taking some things to the grave. Okay, there's some things you think. There's some people that you are taking to the grave. Yeah, you ain't saying nothing. Yeah, no one's ever gonna know that you lot did a thing. We all know. Okay, so the reality of the situation is, you coming on national television telling me that you didn't do anything. We all know that people take things to the grave. We all know. You know what I'm saying to you? So you denying it and telling us no, I don't believe you. I don't. I really don't.
there was so much more that unfortunately you guys don't get to see. But it is honestly, it's a little unsettling to me, and I can't imagine how it makes Nick and Zena feel watching that.
Completely removed and detached. Like I was watching a movie of
This
somebody
is
that I
a
had no
detached
idea.
couch over here. But
Okay,
the
but
one thing I
It
will
wasn't
say,
even a large
I
part of
appreciate
our
that.
dynamic.
But I will
That was
say
such a
the
small part of
one
our dynamic.
thing
Can I
that
just-
I
Now look. Also, you lot are funny. You lot are so silly. You lot are so silly. If you're watching this as a replay, the chat is absolute madness. So look, we've all been in a situation like that, right? So we've all had to not tell the truth in certain things. Okay. Now I won't be honest with you. Okay, these two are gonna meet up later on again. Yeah, they're gonna meet. So long as they stay single, they're gonna meet up again. Okay, and they're gonna lie their socks off that they ever met. They're gonna meet up again and they're gonna have some sex again. They're gonna do it. They gonna do it. They gonna do it again. So we already know, okay, because the way you guys are behaving, that y'all gonna be hooking up later on as long as you're single. And the biggest issue is that you guys actually do have a connection. They do actually have a connection. That's the scary part.
wish the two of you would have done was to be transparent and honest. And during girls' night, you falsely reassured me when I didn't even ask for it. And it's like a complete lie. So why reassure me saying nothing's going on? It's like we're not even dating if that's not the truth.
I understand.
You should have just
that.
said nothing at all.
You're right. I shouldn't have. And the thing that I can own up to,
Now, at least with Sandy, she was trying to own up to certain things that she did. You know what I'm saying to you? You know, there's some things that Sandy already admitted to that, you know, that she did that was wrong. Which fair play to her, you know. Which is fair play. I can't even be mad at it, right? But she knows that she did Zena dirty and Nick dirty in some aspect. Now, she's only cleaner than Nick because Nick is an absolute work. Okay? Nick was an absolute work. All right. So, you know,
girls' night is giving you too much reassurance that like nothing's going on. But he loves you. He would talk so highly about you and how much he loves and adores you. Behind closed doors, JR and I were talking about Nick and Zena. Like,
now we know you were talking about Nick and Zena because everybody was doing that. Okay. Now, sis, why did you go and reassure Zena? That's what we really need to know. We need to know what was your motivation. Okay, all right. What was your motivation for what was your motivation for going to Zena and telling her, I'm here to help your man. I'm here to make sure that he's good. What was the motivation? Because that's what we need to know. What we really need to know is why you felt like you had to motivate her about her man. What was the reason? What was the reason? Like, we don't know the reason why. You're saying sorry, but what was the reason? Since you can look back at it, what was the reason? Because you were manipulating, you were guilty, and you're trying to soften the blow. That's the real reason.
Like, we really were diving into the depths of our relationships, helping each other as friends.
JR said at the
I need you to stop that bull crap that you just said there. That is bullshito. Somebody type in the chat bullshito, because that is some bullshito. If I ever seen it, that's absolute bullshito. What do you mean we were really helping each other as friends? When do friends start kissing each other? When do your friends start lip-syncing each other, please? When? I just want to know. Let me know, Sandy. You know what I mean? Show me that in a dictionary. In fact, show me that in a thesaurus. Let me know, because I don't know. I don't be lip-syncing my friends. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't be kissing my friends, so I don't know. Bushido. It's a type of kung fu. It's bullcrap. Yeah. There's nothing behind it. Yeah. It's just a whole lot of noise. That's all you're doing. You ain't got nothing behind it. No form, no techniques, nothing. It's absolute bullshit. And that is the problem I have with that. Because ain't no way you can't be friends. You get me?
Guys,
Yeah.
that he didn't know what he was going to do, which is fair.
Oh,
And I
multiple
didn't,
times.
I didn't have an
Didn't
issue with
know.
him. I still don't have an issue with him. I don't have an issue with anybody. Honestly, I was watching two people fall very deeply for each other. It just so happened to be my ex-girlfriend, who I was very deeply in love with at one point.
And behind
It's
closed doors,
really hard
JR
to
was
watch.
downplaying
What
the
I
whole
said
thing. So
at
it's
the
like, what is
dinner-
So my thing also is, again, JR, of course, JR is a problem. All right. JR's a massive problem, right? Now, my biggest issue with JR and Sandy in the situation is they did downplay the situation majorly. Like JR downplayed it hugely down to Zena, right? And gaslit her. So I'm not gonna lie to you, he's a gaslighter and he's a liar. And he needs to be held accountable. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can tell me about that. He's a villain, a destructive one at that, right? And so yeah, that she's absolutely right about that. Now, last few minutes, we got to talk about obviously the worst, not the worst, but the worst, but not the worst. Nick's crash out crazy.
Like, yes,
But I was
shit
also there for you when you were going through it.
until
so
yes,
what-
until it was too
what's
much.
the
It was
point,
too much,
though?
and I
Because
understand
it
that.
is too much. It's not fair. You
Okay,
shouldn't
so
put
it
other-
wasn't fair for her to do
you
that to me
shouldn't
either.
put people in that position.
But Nick, the difference is so clear.
Okay, so Nick, can we get to Nick? Nick is a whole problem. You brought her on to Ultimatum. Okay, all right. You brought her on to Ultimatum, and then she gave you didn't want you saw that she didn't want to marry you. Fine, but broski, in between that, bro, the crash out was mad. Now, my biggest issue with Nick is that when he takes accountability, it's in a space of, almost pitying. So rather than explaining, hey, this is what I actually am, this is what I did, I know I was wrong, it's more of a case of, woe is me, I've drunk alcohol, that's why I was out. And it sounds a little bit more excusory than it actually does sound like you're explaining your actual situation, right? Like whenever he explains it, it almost feels like it's like a pity party. So it's not from a place of like, oh my God, like, yeah, okay, we understand why you did it, okay? But yeah, we don't really hear the accountability in a space of actually this is on me, it's on nobody else, it's on me. And
When I was
I've
there
got
for
to change.
you lashed back at me. When you were there for me, I was actually receiving that. So do you see the difference or not?
Sure.
I feel like we're all shitting on Nick a little.
Shut up, Scotty. Shut the heck up, Scotty. Shut up, Scotty. Okay? Shut it. Now, here's my thing. Okay? Because Nick did it again, right? He couldn't see the difference between what happened between him and Vanessa, right? Now, I don't agree Vanessa leaving, but the whole point is he could not see Okay, what he actually heard and he could not see. If you're spiraling and I cannot help you because you are lashing out at me, that is nowhere near the same. Nowhere near the same. Nowhere near the same, my brother. Nowhere near the same as you consoling me, and actually I'm receiving that. And that told me a lot about Scotty. I mean, Nick, sorry.
Those are the questions that are being asked. I mean, he also knew that
it did impact then.
So let me just go with everyone. Sorry.
She agreed, and I agreed that I need to get some help. I was drinking a lot, and that's scary for me because, you know, it's been something that I've had to really look at this year. I went to recovery. Sandy took.
So okay. So when you said about, drinking, he realized how scary it is for me. How scary it is for you? What about how scary it is for other people? I can see how I've impacted people now. I can see how I've impacted Sandy. I can see how I've impacted the people around me who cared about me. I can see how the relationships I have are very tough because of my own behavior. I now see where I also have contributed to downfall relationships. JR can't do it. Nick can't do it. Scotty can't do it. They don't realize the impact of their behavior on other people. It's so selfish and so lacking in self-awareness.
Took me there. And then she decided a week into that she didn't want to do that, and she went on a trip, and she's been pretty much tripping ever since.
Now, why do you have to say it like that for? Well, because he's blaming her. Right? He said, "Oh, she took me to basically rehab, and and then after a week she left me." Why are you putting it like that, bro? Why are you putting it as if like she just left you? Oh, because you felt abandoned. Oh, you wanted her to stick through the shenanigans. All right, the same way you just telling Vanessa to stick through some of the shenanigans. Oh, you wanted her to suffer through the shenanigans. Okay. I see you. You wanted her to suffer the same way that you're suffering. Okay. I see it. But you have to realize again, you're not taking accountability for how your behavior impacts people. Again.
Sandy, is that your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, pretty accurate. Like we broke up at the end at the ultimatum day. I didn't go through all of this to just stay in a relationship afterwards. It was either
I want to get a little bit later. So I can connect this. Okay.
And love is not the problem. It's just we're looking at this in terms of a life partner. And going through this process, like I saw a lot of things where it showed me that he's not the right life partner for me.
And that's just the end of the matter. Right? Now, of course, Nick is obviously in a relationship with somebody else already, but they're gonna have to suffer the same way that she's suffering. Okay? Gonna have to suffer the same way that he's suffering, really and truly. Because anybody trying to prop up somebody who's got an addiction the way that Nick has, you are gonna suffer trying to keep on propping them up. You're never going to win that battle, if I'm honest with you. All right. So I'm gonna leave it there. We will come back to you guys on Sunday for a bigger live where I get to invite you guys. Come on, have your say. But we're gonna pop off and get off now. But I appreciate you guys who join us as well. We'll be back again on Sunday as well for more. And we'll talk about some stuff because let me tell you this now, crazy. This reunion was crazy. I appreciate y'all. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Shout out to my new members, Sarah B. Thank you. Ms. Deb, shout out to you. And shout out to B Love as well for sending 10 as well memberships as well. We appreciate you. Also, if you haven't joined my other channel, I've got another YouTube channel and I'm starting a third one. So yeah, it's gonna be a very busy year in 2025. I'm going to be very much down and working, so look forward to a lot of the work I'm going to start doing because I'm going to be separating a lot of my content and making it a bit more how do I say, streamlined so that I don't confuse things. So I'm going to keep things more more TV stuff here. I'll do more relationship stuff on my, if you want actual coaching videos, I'm started a new YouTube channel called LBB Coaching, which I will do on there, and then more of my like pop arts pop culture and stuff like that as well, will be in my Dark Cards podcast as well. So I'm going to be separating a lot of things now because I want to make sure you guys got space for every little content. I don't want it to be all in the same place. It's kind of annoying for me, and it makes it easier, clearer for my head as well. So if you want your pop culture, like your things like Megan Good and all that kind of stuff and that, I'm going to be putting it on there specifically. And then for my actual coaching channel, I'm going to actually put it on there. So I'm just starting that now as well. So what I would do is I'll take certain things from certain shows and I will coach it through. So you guys can see that as well. So you got specific places in 2025 as well. So look out for some content there. So I'll just send a little link for you guys as well, because like I said, we're trying to shift in a new direction 2025. I'm trying to be a bit more dedicated as well. So shoot doop. But anyway, listen, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Make sure you click on that bell button for the notification of the uploads. We appreciate you guys. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Okay. All right. Make sure you behave on them streets, you know. It's not easy out there, mate. It's not easy. Okay. All right. So let me give you the last link and you guys, I'll get out of here for y'all as well. Okay. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Okay. Someone said mass tonight. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Mass tonight. I just need to watch it now. So I'm going to get on it and watch it. I've now got my internet now. So I'm back. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love. Much appreciation. See you soon. Ta-da.